Denji starts life on hard mode with no tutorial. He's got a devil for a chainsaw, a mountain of debt he didn't make, and he's literally selling body parts to keep the lights on. Not metaphorically my guy hawks an eye and a testicle like it's a garage sale. His dream? Bread with jam and maybe a hug. Aim high, king. He hunts devils for the Yakuza with Pochita, this stubby little chainsaw puppy that's somehow the only soft thing in his life. They sleep in a shed, they share apples, and Denji just keeps breathing because somebody has to pay for his dad's bad choices. It's not living, it's grinding. He measures success in slices of bread in seconds without pain. Then the Yakuza betray him for the discount villain package deal, the zombie devil. Denji gets carved up, dumped in a trash heap, and the story looks over before it starts. Pochita crawls inside his chest and says, "Okay, take my heart, just chase your dumb little dream." Denji wakes up with a pull cord and a reason to go berserk. Chains fly, guts fly, and Denji clears a warehouse of zombie mush like he's mowing the worst lawn on Earth. That's the first time you see it. He's not afraid to get ugly if it keeps him from going back to nothing. Survival with teeth. He collapses in a puddle of what used to be rent problems. Enter Makima, walking in like a warm breakfast that learned how to talk. She wraps him in her coat, tells him he smells nice, and asks if he wants to be her dog. Very normal workplace onboarding. He says yes because she offers ramen and something that sounds like safety. Congratulations, Denji. You've unlocked basic human rights, just with a collar attached. Public safety puts him under Aki, who looks at Denji like a cockroach learned to walk upright. Aki drags him into an alley and tries to beat the quit into him, but Denji fights like a rat in a blender and goes straight for the weak spot. If Aki wanted honor, he chose the wrong opponent. Denji's promise to himself is simple. I'm not going back. Not to hunger, not to the shed, not to silence. If I have to fight dirty, I'll bring a shovel. Then Power blasts in like a fire alarm with legs. Blood Devil Fiend lies like she breathes, and she hijacks Denji's brain with one sentence. Help me save my cat and you can touch my chest. This is the level of purpose we're starting with. Discount store motivation. It's dumb, it's petty, and it's honest. He doesn't dress it up. Denji just nods like he's been handed the keys to his first car. She leads him out to rescue Myoi, then promptly feeds him to the Bat Devil. Denji, betrayed again, blood running low, dangling in a throat like an amusement park ride built by hate. Power watches from a birdcage while Bat chugs Denji like a smoothie and complains about the taste. Denji pulls the cord because of course he does. Even if the reason started as boobs, survival muscles don't forget. The fight is messy. The Bat Devil throws cars like baseballs and eats random people because he's hungry and terrible. Denji's mad because his shot at a kiss is gone, his arms ripped, and some idiot crushed his bag of snacks. It's not noble, but he throws everything he has to shut this guy up. And right in the middle of it, Power cries for her cat. There's a beat where Denji hears it. Not romance, not lust. Just someone who knows what it's like to love one tiny thing in a rotten world. He cuts the Bat Devil down and staggers toward the cage, not because he became a saint in 5 minutes, but because he found a shape of himself he recognizes. Save the cat, save the girl who sold you out, then figure out what to do with all that adrenaline. He doesn't get a hero medal. He gets a second-round leech. Devil shows up, hungry and mad that her boyfriend's in pieces. Denji's running on fumes, blades dull, and he still swings. He talks trash while losing blood like a faucet, because if he stops, he's done. Aki arrives with the Fox Devil like a mic drop, chomps leech in one bite, and Denji wakes up in a hospital bed with nothing in his wallet and everything to explain. Aki asks what he was thinking, and Denji says the quiet part out loud. He wanted to touch boobs. That's it. No complicated speech. But Aki doesn't report him. Maybe he sees the line between pathetic and honest. Maybe he likes that Denji saved a partner and a cat, even for dumb reasons. Either way, Denji moves into Aki's apartment with Power, and suddenly, our boy's big dream jam on toast is now daily breakfast. Survival mode loosened its grip. Home life is chaos. Power doesn't bathe, lies about the toilet, and eats like a hyena. Denji scrubs the bathtub while daydreaming about his reward, like he's trading labor for meaning. And he gets it. Power lets him grab her chest 3 times, punch card and everything. It's awkward, it's mechanical, and it's empty. He stares at his hands after like he left the oven on. That longed-for purpose lands with the emotional depth of a vending machine snack. Makima reads him like a sheet of cheap paper. She leans close, whispers that the right person makes simple things feel like fireworks, and oh look, those fireworks might be her if Denji keeps doing what she wants. It's sweet, it's calculated, and it slides a new idea into his skull. Maybe purpose isn't just having enough or grabbing what's in reach. Maybe it's about who you're doing it for. So Denji shifts from survival to a goal with a ribbon on it. Not noble, not yet, but it's a step. He's got a roof, a job, a cat in the house, and a crush that doubles as a leash. And now the monsters start getting bigger, and the reasons for fighting start getting messier. Aki's got a name he won't stop saying, Gun Devil. Himeno watches them like the last adult in a room full of candles. And Denji? He's about to learn that living isn't just not dying. It's picking a fight with the part of yourself that still thinks crumbs are enough. So Makima sits them down and says the quiet part out loud. The Gun Devil isn't a rumor, it's a natural disaster with legs. One day it showed up and turned whole cities into confetti in a few minutes. Aki's whole family? Gone before the kettle even finished boiling. The fear of guns fed it, and now every little devil that snacks on a bullet shard gets a power-up like it just hit the gym on New Year's. Public safety's plan is basically Pokemon, but for trauma. They're hunting down bullet fragments to track the big one, and every time a devil drops a piece, it pulls the needle on the Gun Devil compass a little closer. Aki treats those fragments like breadcrumbs, leading to the wolf that ate his life. Denji hears, "Kill the Gun Devil," and almost checks out, until Makima leans in and promises him one wish if he pulls it off. Any wish. Congratulations. The kid's purpose just got stapled to a carrot he can't stop staring at. But before he can fantasize himself into a coma, they get tossed into a nice, simple mission. Check out a hotel crawling with weird. Team roster expands. Kobeni shows up, whose special ability is anxiety with a driver's license. Ares there too, the guy who looks like he irons his socks. Himeno leads, Power does crimes against teamwork, and Aki tries to be a mom while clearly running out of cigarettes and patience. They hit the 8th floor, and surprise, the building decides to eat them. Stairwells loop, windows don't lead outside, clocks are lying, time's a circle, everyone's a hamster. Then a fleshy little nightmare peeks from the ceiling and calls itself Eternity. It wants a trade, give it Denji, and it'll let the rest go. That's not just a trap, that's a sociological experiment. Cue the moral collapse speedrun. Kobeni panics so hard she invents new shapes. She tries to stab Denji, misses, and stabs Aki instead, because of course she does. Arai's shaking, Himeno's trying to hold the line, and Power's doing math on how to turn the situation into a snack. The devil keeps growing, filling halls with meat and mouths, promising painless death if they just hand over the chainsaw boy. For a second, it looks like the room is about to vote yes with both hands. And this is where Denji, human disaster, actually grows up a millimeter. He looks at Aki bleeding because Aki stepped in front of a knife for him, at Himeno wearing down her nerves to keep the kids together, and decides the only way out is through the blender. He pulls the ripcord, revs the saws, and swan dives into Hell's esophagus, not to be noble, to be annoying. If Eternity's scared of his pain party trick, then he'll throw the longest party ever. It works. He slices, he slips, he drinks the blood of the thing he's carving, and he keeps going until even a devil built from time gets tired of existing. Days pass in a loop. By the end, Eternity begs to die. Denji laughs like a guy who just realized the torture was two-way. He cuts out the heart. Power claims credit like a cat knocking a vase. And Aki quietly pockets another bullet piece, another inch on his private map to the end of the world. They stumble back to daylight, buzzing on victory and dehydration, and Himeno cashes in the motivational promise she made before the mission. A French kiss for the man who got the kill. Denji leans in ready for fireworks. Instead, he gets a biology lesson he will never forget. First kiss tastes like puke. and now it lives rent-free in his brain. Makima finds him later, sits him on a bench, and hands him a lollipop like a parent meeting a kid after they threw up on a roller coaster. She tells him sometimes the first time is awful, and that's okay. The next one will be better. It sounds simple, but it lands. Denji's been treating life like a vending machine. Kick it, grab a snack. Now he gets that chasing crumbs doesn't mean they taste good. Maybe he wants something that doesn't rot the second it hits his tongue. That night, Himeno invites him over. She's a mess in a charming, tragic way. Smokes too much, drinks too much, laughs to keep from crying. One thing leads to almost another. Denji's got his dream right there on the bed. But he pauses. He thinks about the lollipop, about the promise in Makima's voice, about how cheap wins feel cheap in the morning. He politely taps the brakes. Morning hits, hangover apologizes through coffee, and Himeno rolls into something honest. She doesn't want Aki to die. Not for a name he repeats like a prayer that never answers. She makes a small, ridiculous, gorgeous pact with Denji. Help me get with Aki, I'll help you get with Makima. It's goofy on the surface, but underneath there's the real Askwatch his back. Keep him alive. If you're gonna chase your wish, do it without turning into a gravestone. And that sinks in for Denji in a way food and kisses didn't. He's not built for speeches, but he gets the shape of it. Having people means having something to lose. Suddenly the fights aren't just tickets to prize time. They're promises. Keep Aki standing. Keep Himeno from burning out. Turn this job from don't die into make sure they don't either. Next day at the office, the world does its usual impression of normal. Coffee, paperwork, dumb jokes in a break room that still smells like cigarettes and instant noodles. Aki pretends he didn't almost bleed out for a guy who sleeps with his feet hanging off the couch. Power steals someone's lunch and argues it into philosophy. Denji stares out the window and catches himself wanting something more precise than boobs and bread. He doesn't have the words for it yet. But they're loading onto a train, sliding into taxis, heading to a casual lunch that should have been forgettable, and there's a wire running through the city humming with the next bad thing. Survival mode gives you tunnel vision. Purpose makes you look up. And right when Denji starts to look up, the world decides to test that new view by putting holes in it. So, lunch. 4 devil hunters, 1 cheap restaurant, and Denji trying to act normal while his brain does math it's never done before. An old guy at the next table starts chatting him up about his grandpa, like this is small talk and not a loaded gun wrapped in nostalgia. Then the man stops smiling, the guns come out, and Denji's head gets ventilated mid-sentence. Across the city, Makima's riding a train, also tries the whole normal day thing, and a team of suits puts 3 neat holes in her, like they're stapling paperwork. Elsewhere, division members do what they always do between nightmares: sit in taxis, complain about the job, pretend they aren't all red flags and trench coats. The doors pop open, and strangers put bullets in them like it's chore day. Kobeni and Arai? Ambushed in the street. Arai goes down fast. Kobeni freezes so hard you can practically hear the Windows error chime. Back at lunch, the old man's grandson stands up and unfolds swords out of his arms like a discount Transformers reveal. He's the Katana Man, because nobody in this city believes in subtlety, and he's here for Denji's heart. Denji's eyes go wide. He reaches for his cord, and Aki's already stepping in like, no, not you, not yet. Aki calls the Fox Devil, that giant head we thought could bite through anything, and it swallows Katana Man whole. For half a second you think this fight's over. Then, a blade pierces out the fox's cheeks from inside, and the head explodes into smoke. Turns out Fox doesn't like metal, or hybrids, or being used as a vending machine for plot armor. So Aki pulls out the sword he never wanted to use, which is actually just a cursed nail with a personality. Every stab is a countdown. 1, 2, 3. The Cursed Devil appears and ragdolls Katana Man into a bony heap like it just hit delete on his existence. But Aki paid for it with more of his lifespan, which he keeps swiping like a credit card that's going to get him denied at 40. The woman with Katana Man, cool as a snake handler because that's literally her thing, doesn't blink. She says a word, and a massive snake devil appears and eats the ghost devil's head off-screen like it's clearing the table. Aki's out of tricks, coughing on the floor, and a gunshot drills him. Himeno takes one look at him bleeding out, looks at Denji half dead, looks at Power already halfway to the exit, and makes a choice that isn't about tomorrow's drink or next week's kiss. She asks Ghost to go all in. Full contract, her whole body for its whole power. And Ghost accepts. Himeno vanishes piece by piece, clothes falling into an empty shape, while a giant spectral hand clamps Katana Man like it's squeezing the fear out of him. Himeno's last breath is a wish for Aki to live long enough to cry for her someday. It's not romance, it's purpose dressed like goodbye. Snake Girl snaps her fingers, Snake says, "Eat," and Ghost is erased from the board. Himeno finishes vanishing with no dramatic music, no pause button, just gone. But in that last ripple, a severed ghost arm crawls on instinct and yanks Denji's cord. Chainsaws roar to life. Himeno's final gift is motion. Denji charges like a junkyard dog that found the gate open. He's loud, messy, and honestly outclassed. Katana Man fights like a deadly tutorial level for So You Think You're a Hybrid. Denji loses an arm, then another. He tries headbutts, bites, anything with teeth. He still gets carved and dropped in two pieces. They scoop up his torso like stolen merchandise and drag him to a car. They're almost gone. And then Kobeni walks into frame like she swapped out her nervous system for a Windows 95 tower someone overclocked. She dodges bullets, uses a guy as a springboard, and puts a knife through another's hand while apologizing for existing. She gets behind the snake woman with the gun steady, chin locked, the whole vibe screaming, "I don't like this, but I'm better at it than you." Katana Man decides he does not want that smoke today and bails. Kobeni drags Denji's half-a-body back with a breathless, "Sorry for trying to kill you that one time. It's not normal. Nothing here is." On the train, Makima stands up. No pulse check, no explanation. She just rises between corpses like this is a minor delay, and she's got a meeting. She reaches Kyoto, borrows a mountain shrine and a line of blindfolded attendants, and calls in rented felons like they're pizza toppings. One by one, she makes them speak names. One by one, attackers across the city pop like soda cans in a campfire. Each prisoner drops dead as payment. HR is going to love the paperwork on that, but Makima does not care. She draws a neat box around chaos and calls it Tuesday. The dust settles ugly. Division 4 has been halved, then halved again. Hospitals fill with people who heal weird and people who don't heal at all. Aki wakes up to empty chairs and the kind of silence you only get when the person who filled it knew every annoying little part of your day. He reaches for a cigarette like it's a rope he can climb back up, but the room doesn't have a top anymore. Denji stares at the bandages where his arms should be, then at the ceiling, then at nothing. He got saved by someone who was scared of her own shadow yesterday and died for by someone who made fun of him 5 hours earlier. For a guy who thought purpose was something you could hold. This is a brutal new lesson. Sometimes it's what holds you up after it's gone. Makima calls what's left of the division to attention. She's calm in that way that makes calm feel like a threat. The message is simple. We're merging squads, training's about to get mean, and the enemy still has the one thing everyone in this room wants. Not money, not status, not even revenge, though. Aki's got that growing like a tumor. The enemy has a story about control. They think they get to decide who lives with a heart and who doesn't. Denji started the day chasing touch and taste. He ends it staring at the hole purpose leaves when it cashes out. But holes make room. For new vows. For ugly training. For someone to say, if I'm more than survival, prove it. And the city, generous as ever, is already loading the next test. The next test shows up wearing an eye patch and a hangover. Kishibe doesn't ask what Denji wants to live for. He checks how many times the kid can die before lunch. Training is just murder with homework, and Denji and Power keep popping back up like whack-a-mole that drinks blood out of juice boxes. They try every trick, fake every weakness, and he still folds them like cheap umbrellas. It's not nurturing, it's stress testing. Kishibe's lesson is simple. If you want a purpose, you need the body and the nerve to hold it. Otherwise, the city will pull it out of you like a bad tooth. When Division 4 rolls back onto the streets, it's a full-on cryptid parade. Shark Boy who swims through walls. Violence in a plague mask who's polite about it. An angel who hates touching people because it drains years off your life. A spider girl who crawls out of carpets like it's a party trick.